Yo, pod! This is Meat Mitch, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh, should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the really big Barbecue Central Show. This is a show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. Originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday. Who wants to jump in, everybody? Love to have you, whether it's through a phone call or an email. If you don't know how to do that, here's your info.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at the bbqcentralshow.com. On the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, a longtime sponsor of the show, somebody who was on just as the pandemic hit, and we talked to them about supply chain and some other items that were happening. They were actually a company that ventured out into that last bastion of HPBA-ness. And I think we're one of the few that also closed up shop pretty quickly thereafter once they arrived there in New Orleans for that expo. With a announcement of not one but two brand new products, we will be rejoined in the 14 past the hour segment with Conrad from Fireboard. If you're following me on social media, you saw the post that I made about the new products a couple days ago on my show page. If you're not liking me over there, make sure that you do that. I'll give you that info here in a second. 35 past the hour, and because it is the fourth Tuesday of the month, that means it's going to be bringing a visit from the bristly barbecue journalist himself, Derrick Riches from DerrickRiches.com. 3 or 4 different topics to talk with Derrick about. Number one, bristle brushes. If you follow Derrick, you'll know that he is on a hotly contested mission to ban this world. Not only the country, but ban the world of bristle brushes for cleaning your grills. Doesn't want anything to do with them. Doesn't want people to make them. Dangerous. He'll lay out the whole plan for us. We'll also talk about the liquid propane gas bottle exchange versus refill. Now, if you're an old-timey person here to the Live Fire Show, you've already heard this before, but for all the new folks or the medium new folks that are just lumping in here to the fold, we want to make sure that you're up to speed on this. There was a lawsuit a number of years ago that spawned this whole deal, but there was a little crafty, malfeasant business practice that was going on with, I think it was AmeriGas or Blue Rhino, definitely Blue Rhino, maybe not AmeriGas, but Blue Rhino was sued, and shenanigans were unveiled. But there's a vast difference, pounds and pounds of difference between exchange and refill. We'll talk about it. Also, I'll get Derrick's take on who he thinks will go into the Hall of Fame for barbecue tomorrow. That would actually next live show. So that's your first hour. Second hour, of course, since it is the fourth Tuesday, embedded correspondents are refiring the malfeasance of the live fire industry. And we will also be talking about the Barbecue Hall of Fame, who we would be putting in. We'll go through the panel. We'll get everybody's top 3. We'll see if we can't come up with a quorum of who the Barbecue Central Show Hall of Fame votes would be. And then we will also figure out who number 4 would be, because as great and wonderful as those first three who we will reveal tomorrow exclusively here on the show, isn't there any portion of you that wants to know who number 4 is? The bridesmaid, that's the name I want to know. It's like when King of the Smoker was happening. Certainly you wanted to finish first or second, top 10, whatever. You didn't want to be dead-ass last. So as Sterling would commonly joke for those 10 years that it was going on, people were racing to get the results list to see who was at the bottom of the results list. So we're not looking for the bottom, but 4, I think that would be interesting. I wonder who 4 is. I don't know if we're going to get that information. Something we'd like to know, but we'll have 4 here this evening for the first part of the embedded correspondence, and then we will run out the finale of American Idol Barbecue Central Show edition. That's right. It's going to be fast. It's going to be furious. There's going to be a lot of bad singing. Believe me. I've produced the duet, which may or may not make your ears bleed. And then Ricer and myself will be singing live for the finale, for your votes. And we will find out in a week's time who will be overall American Idol Barbecue Central Show edition champion. So we're looking forward to getting that accomplished here this evening. Again, your phone calls and emails if you are so interested to take part. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com and 216-220-0966. Don't forget, you can also follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, /BBQ Central Show on Facebook, which there's also a live video feed when the show's live, 9 to 11 on Tuesdays. And as I had mentioned previously, programming note, tomorrow there will be a live Barbecue Hall of Fame show at 3 p.m. Eastern where we will announce live.
We'll do it live. Okay.
Exclusively on the show, the Hall of Fame class for 2020. Who will it be? Shoot me your thoughts in the chat while we're rolling here through this evening. Who is your top 3 out of the semifinal list of 9? I want to know. We'll fit them in during the show as we can. Get yourself on record now. And again, that's 3 p.m. tomorrow. That's Wednesday, and we will be live.
We'll do it live.
That's right. We will do it live. Do it live. Email from a listener. Howdy, Greg. I love your show. I've enjoyed listening since 2013. Long-time listener to the show. Most of your guests are great, accomplished people. They are barbecue cooks, and in the case of Steven Reichland, an expert on world cuisine, unquestionably. However, your show is about barbecue and grilling that we all enjoy. I get that we all come from all walks of life, political views, and so forth. Would you mind asking Steven to keep his to himself? It is readily apparent that the man hates the president. He is certainly entitled to his opinion. However, your show is about barbecue and grilling and bringing people together. I've noticed that every time Steven is on, he feels the need to take a poke at the political right. Does he think that this will bring anybody to his viewpoint? Meathead is left of center, however, manages to be respectful of both positions. Greg, you have the best barbecue show there is. I really appreciate the hard work that you put in, and hell, you sell my favorite brand of truck for a living during the day. That doesn't hurt either. Thanks for all you do. Sincerely, Alexi. Alexi, first, thanks for writing it. Thank you. Alexi, I appreciate the time that you have taken to write me this email. And here's my answer to you. Will I tell Steven Reichland to not express his political or personal views on this show? I have the answer. The answer is no.
Get that big stuff out of here.
I'm not going to tell him that. If Steven wants to come on the show and at some point during his segment say that he is a fan of X or he is not a fan of X, that is certainly his prerogative. Now, if it's a incredibly brash pop shot, I might question it. I've done that. But it's certainly up to him if he wants to. So, what you need to understand is this. If somehow this makes you a fan of not this show, because Steven Reichlin, for instance, last weekend made some reference to, I don't want to be loose with the details. We have somebody in the White House that's doing that. If that comment makes you less of a fan of this show, then I apologize. We're probably already at a crossroads. Since 2013, this is the item that is stuck in the craw because he makes a shot or gives an opinion on the political landscape. And it's not all the time. It really isn't. If you go back through and listen to Steven's, all of his segments, rarely he's maybe made reference to PBS once. Couple shots at the president, I guess. But he's not sweeping over the political right. I think he's taking an opinion shot at the president directly. And if that's not your cup of tea, and that affects you watching this show, which I hope it does, then that's too bad. But I think you might want to send an email to Steven Reichlin, the guy that you have a problem with. Dear Steven, I enjoy you on the Barbecue Central show. Stop giving your political opinions at every turn. That's probably where it's going to do most good. I'm not going to tell my guests what they can or cannot say. If they are alienating a certain portion of their fan base because of it, that's certainly on them. But I appreciate you listening since 2013. Longtime fan. That's great. You know who's a longer fan than you, Alexi? The Barbecue Guru. That's right. Creators of automatic pit temperature control devices. We love them. Always believing that outdoor cooking can be easy and fun, because it is, with the use of automatic temperature control devices, if you so choose. Or they have grills that you can choose from. They have a shotgun cooker, which is more of a cabinet style, insulated. They also have the Monolith, which is a ceramic cooker with a built-in power draft fan. So if you have a controller already from the Barbecue Guru, easy enough to hook up. Away you go. It's kind of like a sous chef right in your backyard. Keeps the temperature right where you want it, minimal effort. You now have tasty, juicy meals each and every time, because it's all about consistency and the products that you're putting on the table for everybody to eat. Look like a hero, do it easily. Barbecue Guru. Website, bbqguru.com. Phone number, 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. The Barbecue Guru continues to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. And by the way, I got my hands on Bob's brand new rub and sauce products. One is the Maddie's Steak Rub, which I'm looking forward to trying out. And then, if you're a fan of wing sauce, you're in for it. Mighty Mitch's Wing Sauce. All there under the Having a Barbecue brand from Bob Trudnak and the folks over Barbecue Guru. So if you're looking for a new wing sauce or a new steak rub, you might want to give it a try. Ted Conrad is up next. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Butcher's Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauces, grilling oils. All the Butcher Barbecue products have been tested on the circuit for verification worldwide. Backyards as well. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood and visit butcherbbq.com to stock up now. Always trust your butcher. My first guest tonight, leading the remote thermometer sector with their Fireboard products, which is an absolute incredible tool, especially if you love tech and you love to monitor multiple items over one source. Tonight, it's new product announcement time, amongst other things, so we race with Holland. And welcome back, friend of the show, Ted Conrad, joining me. Hey, Ted.
Hey, Greg. How you doing?
I'm absolutely fabulous, Ted. Appreciate you making time, as always. And let's start here. We talked mid-March-ish, right after the coronavirus hit, and you were filling us in at that point on supply chain and how that was treating you and if it was affecting making Fireboard products and fulfilling orders, logistics, all that crap. So now that we're a number of months past that initial interview, how have those 8 to 10 weeks run for Fireboard? Were there any hangups? Were there any delays in shipping and all that good stuff? How's it going?
Yeah. Well, in March, it was kind of funny because we, of course, as you know, we'll talk about more tonight, but we're coming out with our new thermometer tonight. So and back in March, I didn't want to get into all the details of getting those supplies over here, but it's been a little wild. Anybody who's following like the logistics world, air freight, well, of course, there's air freight and there's ocean freight, right? So air freight typically will ride underneath, the airplanes of all the passenger aircraft.
Yep.
So as everybody realizes, there's really not that many passenger aircraft these days. So
that's right.
The problem is, we've gone from, I would say like $2 or $3 per kilogram or for a kilogram all the way up to like $10. It's all 3 to 4 times, maybe even 5 times the price of the normal air shipping cost. So it's really outrageous. Now, the other thing is, Greg, most people can try to get ahead of it. And if they can go out and get their ocean shipments booked ahead of time, and they can, for the most part, ocean freight hasn't been affected that much. There was a whole slowdown in China, which kind of opened up more capacity on a lot of these boats. But the air is where it's really hit. And unfortunately for us, we're trying to rush through this product launch and everything. So that's been, air freight's pretty nuts right now.
If you were going to go on a boat, is that something, well, it's not, that's something you have to account for in shipping time. So freight through the air is going to be substantially quicker over the boat. It could be, 20 days, 30 days or something like that. So you would have to account for that type of a time travel before you could get your stuff to make your stuff to send out to people.
Yeah, it's anywhere. Ocean's probably like 20 days, but it could take maybe 30 days depending on, once it hits the port, usually like in Los Angeles, sometimes it's rail all the way, where we are in Kansas City. Sometimes it's rail. Sometimes it's just ground trucking. So there's sort of a few details, but yeah, you have to plan at least like 25 days. Now air, if you have people working for you, like the logistics side efficiently, you can probably get air in like 3, 4, 5 days. Yeah. Typically it's like maybe 6 or 7 days. So it's obviously much faster. We are in this situation now where we have to go air because we've been pedal to the metal on several projects. And so as soon as the factories and whatever we're buying overseas, as soon as that stuff is ready, we have to get it air shipped over very quickly. And then as we go forward, we'll plan out, we'll stage our orders so that we account for that 25-day extra shipping time.
Ted Conrad joining me here on the show from Fireboard. Fireboard.com is the website if you want to check it out. And now it's time where we reveal not one, but 2 new products from Fireboard, so that's very exciting. Now, you can currently...
3 products, Greg.
3 products?
Yeah.
Oh, my. 3 products. How about that? Not only is 2 good, 3 is better, always. Now, I know for the Fireboard, or the new Fireboard units we'll talk about here in a second, they're currently available to pre-order. The date on the website says available June 8th. Is that a firm, or is that a moving target?
Yeah, no, it's firm. We have everything that we need. There's a, I guess the only wild card is just how many pre-orders do we get, because we're ramped up for production. We're building stuff. Literally, we started to go forward with that today. Tomorrow's going to be full on production mode. So the only question is if we just get a huge unplanned amount of pre-orders. It could be just yours might slide a little bit. But I mean, we're June 8th is.
Sorry, Ted. I think I lost you there. You said June 8th was the plan there?
Yeah, June 8th
Okay.
is still good. Yeah, June 8th is still firm. And yeah, we're cranking away on that date. We have all the stuff that we need to make that date happen. So I think we feel pretty good about June 8th.
All right. Ted Conrad joining me here on the show. So Fireboard 2 and Fireboard 2 Drive. And before we get into these units, let's talk about what makes them unique. And are these replacing anything that is currently on the product's portfolio?
Yeah, we started the company with Fireboard. We just called it the Fireboard. And as you know, you've used the product. I mean, that's been the main thing that we've had for the last 3-4 years. We felt like it was time to refresh and to try to improve on what we had originally built. I guess, aesthetically, I think you look at what we have now as the new Fireboard, if you will, the new Fireboard 2. Aesthetically, I think this, the case, the screen is really nice. If you will, like the industrial design. I mean, I love the design aspect of this stuff, just thinking about how you make a product, the plastics, the CNC machine. Like we actually have this is an aluminum CNC machine bezel that goes around here. You think about, there's actually a little plastic, we call it a light pipe, but it's a curved piece of plastic that brings the little light from the circuit board up through a channel, and then it channels it up into this metal bezel. So those are the design details that I think have gone into this product that we've had a little bit more time to make this, if you will, kind of a refined product as close as we can to making this a really, really top-notch, perfect product, if you will. And I think we've kept many of the same things we had in the first one. We have 6 channels. We still have the auxiliary port to run accessories off of. And the app and I think you find that the Fireboard experience doesn't really change. But I think from the product perspective, it's just a much better product. That the screen is much larger. We have built-in weather protection, which is really nice. And then which is really, really nice for people. And we've actually seen over the last year, I think it's been kind of organically spreading. People have been talking about how Drive works. I think people love using it. I feel like we haven't really marketed Drive that much, but people have really enjoyed using it. So this has built-in Drive technology. So that's been fun too. When we're finally able to get this out there, we're excited about getting it out there, Greg.
So both Fireboard 2 and then there is the other product, Fireboard 2 Drive. Does one not have the Drive option, or both of them have Drive, and perhaps the one Fireboard 2, I don't want to get convoluted here, but Fireboard 2 Drive, does that then also include the fan or some other accessory that the Fireboard 2 doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, the main difference, the Drive, if you look at, if you get down to the actual circuit board level, there's a decent amount of cost that goes into the components to make Drive work. I mean, it's a variable voltage output, so if you think about this, the fan that you're driving, right, you can go anywhere from 3 volts all the way up to 12 volts. It's variable speed. And, Fireboard is unique also because we're able to drive a fan off battery. So you've got to have some pretty complex circuitry. You've got to take the battery voltage and boost that up to maybe 7, 10, 11 volts. Furthermore, you have to be able to take a 12-volt input and drop that down to 3 volts if you're only wanting 3 volts. So there's all these different power scenarios, and we've built that in. So to make a long story short, the Drive version of the Fireboard 2 does have quite a few more components. So we're selling that at a higher price point. And then the lower price point model does not have built-in Drive. So we don't put those components on the board. So we save that cost, we can keep the retail price lower. We kind of retain that $189 price, so people can get into a Fireboard at $189 just like they always have.
Yeah.
And then they can add the drive cable later. It plugs into the aux port. They can do that later if they want to. So it kind of preserves their ability to upgrade over time. So I think it just gives people options in the market.
The implements that you put into this second generation of Fireboard, how much is a customer-driven request or input from the market, and how much is stuff that you guys at Fireboard have just wanted to put in a next generation of Fireboard?
It's both. I mean, you find it basically overlaps. I mean, I think our customers are using the product, but we're using the product also. I mean, we're grilling and we're having fun, using the product all the time. So I think, having a built-in weather-resistant case, if you will, having the ability to just leave it out there. We've had, I don't know about you, last few days, Greg, it's been nonstop raining here in Kansas City.
Oh yeah.
So it's I've left this guy out of my patio for the last 3 days. So
on purpose.
Yeah, so right. It's one of those things where you want to. It needs to be simple to use. You don't have to think about, is it going to get wet? You're going to worry about a storm coming through. So that's been our goal. And then the screen, Jason, the guy who's on our team that's unbelievable with firmware and writing all this stuff, like, the display logic and whatnot, you can see there's a graph of the actual temperature over time.
Mm-hmm.
And having that, we've focused on temperature data on our mobile app, on the Fireboard app, which is huge. But to be able to walk up to the screen and just see what's been going on, you're in the middle of doing something, you don't want to pick up your phone, that's really handy. So, not to mention this really nice, large view of the temperature,
So let me play. Let me play devil's douchebag here just for a second. Great big screen, big temperature readout, the graph. Why do I need that if I have all of that on my phone already with a really cool app, or it can also be on my laptop? Are we not going into some type of an overkill?
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of it is that Fireboard experience doesn't change at all. So you're absolutely right. I mean, the people that 70, 80% of the time, if you're watching this on your phone, that's absolutely right. I mean, that experience is going to be no worse, no better, but it's going to be still a really great experience that way. And then I think on top of that, now we have the ability to sell a product that I feel like just has a much more marketable aesthetic aspect to it, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I think building a product that people like to look at, people think that this has really been engineered. The mechanical design, the industrial design is really top notch. I mean, to me, that's important, right? I mean, we need to be, the original Fireboard had some holes kind of on top. We had 2 buttons on top.
Yep.
Well, you leave it out sitting on your patio, and the rain comes in, the water gets through those little holes. So there's little design elements like that I think the very beginning we had to do just to get it out there. But making it better, making a better product is always the right answer, I think.
All right, 2 last questions before I let you go, and I appreciate the time. There were 3, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get all 3 in. So let me ask this question. I, who know nothing about the world that you live in, would say that when is the Fireboard without any wires coming? Something akin to that rip-off meter Kickstarter program that's generated $758 million and has produced like 2 products. My embedded correspondent, it took 2 years for him to get blah, blah, blah. But how come we can't make something like that, but actually get it introduced to the public? That seems like it would be a knockout punch to the industry.
Yeah, and so Greg, you just mean in general, just another wireless probe that works pretty well?
Yeah, I mean, like instead of having the 6 wired probes that you have, which are really great quality and stand up to the high heat, how come we can't make something, and by we, I mean you, eliminate the wire so I can just stick it in and have a wireless experience that way?
Yeah. Yeah. what I always come back to is you think about putting electronics and a battery inside of your grill and inside of meat that theoretically the meat temperature is not going to go above 200, 210 or something like that.
Right.
But steaks obviously less than that. It just feels like it's a recipe for a more complicated product to support. I probe that doesn't have all those electronics and batteries and whatnot inside of it. So we've thought about that, and I think that's definitely something that we would love to do down the road at some point. But there's some balance of building a product that's reasonable cost and that's robust, so you don't have support issues down the road. We want for this product to work not for just a few months, but for several years when people buy the product. Today, if your temperature probe that we sell you with the kit breaks, you can buy their temperature probe for $15 and it's no problem. Their thermometer is great, technology is great, but you just buy a new thermometer, you buy a new temperature probe and you're good to go. So when you bury all that complicated circuitry inside of your grill, and which gets up to 700 and 800 degrees, it's definitely a problem we're thinking about, but it's something we've
Ted, last question before I let you go tonight, and appreciate the time. Tomorrow on this show, we will be unveiling exclusively the 3 members that will be making it into the Barbecue Hall of Fame, being a student of the barbecue game as you are. I'm sure you have seen the list. Do you want to give 10 Conrad's 2020 Barbecue Hall of Fame inductees?
Yep. So
great. Here we go.
You want my top 3? Is that what you want, Greg?
Yeah, these would be the 3 you would be putting into the Hall of Fame tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think my number 1 is going to be Meathead, and I've
look at you.
Yep.
All right.
I've got a story on that, but I don't know if you have time or want to dig into that. But
does it involve something illegal?
No, nothing bad at all. Nothing at all. I just the short story is I just got started. I barbecue, just kind of thinking about this hobby, and even just before we even started the business, I started reading, Meathead's blog, just like a lot of people do.
Sure.
And so he's done a tremendous job with writing content. I think his passion is obviously barbecue and writing this content. So he's done such a great job. I mean, you type in your barbecue ribs, you find his stuff at the very top. So that's a testament to how he's built his business. It's great.
Yep. All right, number 2.
Number 2, I will say Aaron Franklin.
Wow, Aaron Franklin. All right, popular, no doubt.
Yep.
Number 3, rounding out the class of 2020.
Desiree Robinson.
All right, look at you. We're a lot alike. I got to be honest. We're at least 2/3 of like-mindedness when it comes to the Hall of Fame, and we will reveal tomorrow. In the meantime, head on over to fireboard.com. Make sure that you're pre-ordering the Fireboard 2 or the Fireboard 2 Drive, depending on what your level of tech and wisdom might be. And don't forget, you got a more robust chassis. Leave it out in the rain. Ted has done it here on purpose the last couple of days. No issues. And especially, Father's Day is coming up, so that would be a great gift for the live fire dad in your life, or a wives, or if you're listening, your husband's looking for a cool gift. Obviously, Ted, this is something that we should be pressing really hard, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're rolling out the Father's Day stuff this week. We found, obviously, it's a great gift. Dads love it. So, yeah, check us out. No, Greg, we appreciate the time hopping on here and always enjoy your show. Thank you.
You got it. There he is, Ted Conrad from Fireboard, and you can get him over at fireboard.com as always. Wow, Fireboard 2. Just as I was getting used to Fireboard Original because I stashed it away in my bottom drawer because I'm a dope, then finally took it out and realized, hey, this thing's fabulous. Fireboard 2's out now. Great. Honey, if you're listening, Fireboard 2, it's coming out. Pre-order now. Ready to go June 8th. I like Father's Day gifts. Just if you're listening. Derrick Riches is in the green room. He's ready to talk. I'm going to talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills, some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. 2 lines to choose from, a choice line and a prime line. Choice is the original. So you get the same cookers, size-wise and name-wise, except the choice has Jim Bowie, Daniel Boone. Then you have a prime line, a little bit more robust in the chassis build, like Ted was talking about with Fireboard 2. A little bit more robust build there over the original Fireboard. You have peak-in windows on the main cooking chamber, on the pellet hopper on the prime line. You also have 2 internal meat probes. If you want to do that Wi-Fi technology, choice line, no Wi-Fi technology. But if you're like me, you're like, screw it. Who really needs a Wi-Fi? Seems like on some of these cookers it doesn't even work anyway. So it's like a big pain in the ass and a kick in the balls every time you try to work it. So if you don't need it, you want to save a couple bucks, you still want to get the same size cooker, you can do choice line Green Mountain Grills. If you want the tech, then get the prime line. Either or. It's up to you. Get both. 2 of each. Why not? Pizza oven insert on the Jim Bowie and Daniel Boone will fit. If you want something travel size, that's the Davy Crockett. Sold through dealers. So go to Green Mountain Grill's website, find a dealer near you, go to the dealer, learn more about them. All the dealers are trained to make sure that you're trained. So when you get it home, you're an expert. Everybody's happy. GreenMountainGrills.com. Also pellets and sauces and rubs and other accessories for fun. GreenMountainGrills.com. That's GreenMountainGrills.com. We're back with Derrick Riches right after this. Stick around.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
Hey, speaking of really cool pellet grills like Green Mountain Grills, let's talk about stuff you should be putting in those pellet grills. Cooking pellets, of course. Premier manufacturer of the best pellets out there today. CookingPellets.com is the place to go to buy. You can also buy Amazon.com if you want. And they fit in all cookers. Don't let people tell you that you got to use these pellets for this cooker. It's illegal. Cooking Pellets is the place to go. 40-pound bags sold in most cases. Check it out. All right. My next guest can be found here the 4th Tuesday of the month. You find his writings on DerrickRiches.com. So, of course, we're talking with Derrick Riches. Hey, Derrick.
Hey, Greg. How you doing?
I'm absolutely fabulous. Appreciate you making time here as always. And we have some things to get to. First, were you excited? I saw you ducked into the green room many minutes prior to the segment. Are you excited about the new Fireboard 2? Did you just find out about that, or did you have a heads up on it?
I talked with them in March,
All right.
I believe it was, about that, and they were kind of hinting at it, and I think you can... Let's see, right here.
There it is.
There's
I see it there.
Fireboard
Over your left
right
shoulder.
Yep. Yeah.
So are you jazzed about the... Yeah, well, it's always opposite. So are you jazzed about Fireboard 2?
Yeah, I think, I like the Fireboard 1. I think it's it's a really great unit, and I'd love to give this one a try. So, if he's still listening, I'm here.
I think you just asked for something for free. Wow, come on, Derrick. Let's use a little couth.
Oh, sorry.
This is why you're bristly.
Yeah, that's it.
That's right. Derrick Riches has been on the Bristle Brush campaign of 2020. Let's talk about it. This has been...
Actually...
Yes, go ahead.
No, this has been 10 years of this.
Yeah, but you made a video, and I'm trying to work an agenda here. I mean, give me a break. So this has been an issue that many, many outlets have reported on, especially at this time of the year as grilling season comes around. It's been a particular issue that has driven you for some amount of time as well. So seeing the video that you had released through YouTube a handful of days ago and reading your social media postings about we gotta get rid of this, why has this been such an ongoing passion of yours?
Well, it's just because it's kind of ridiculous at this point. This came up literally a decade ago, and people are like, oh, we're going to do something about this, and nobody does anything. I've talked with probably a dozen different companies. I've talked with trade groups and everything. And they're all kind of like, oh, well, when they get old, people should buy a new one. And it's like, so your solution is to sell more product. And, then blame the consumer if they happen to get hurt by it. And I'm kind of sick and tired of the stories because this just keeps coming up. It's like we get into the grilling season and there's going to be all these news stories about, grilling is dangerous and you're going to get hurt. And it's like, that's not good for any of us. It's not good for the business. It's not good for the manufacturers. It's not good for, you and me. So why not just stop it? That's my point. Just stop. You can stop doing this. It's not hard. There are so many alternatives.
Through your research, have you seen statistical data showing the number of emergency room visits or issues that bristles have caused year over year?
There was a study put together a decade ago by a couple of doctors, and they found that they could verify 130 cases a year, but they only collected data from the emergency rooms of major hospitals. And they freely acknowledged that they weren't going to Instacares, they weren't talking with doctors' offices, and that the reporting was, very minimal, that they may only be getting a fraction of the actual instances. Because most of the injuries are minor. Somebody gets stuck in the tongue or in, the side of their mouth or something with one of these. They don't end up in an emergency room. But it's just, to me, it's just sheer stupidity at this point because we don't need to do this. We don't stop playing this game.
So why are bristles allowed? Is this one of those Illuminati, Gestapo type deals where we know that there is, not might be, but there is a better way? These bristles are hazardous. They're left on the landscape of the grill. They're being picked up by meat, ingested throughout the times that you could be eating. Sometimes you have to go to the emergency room. Sometimes you pick it out of your cheek or tongue or upper lip or whatever the case may be. If we all know, how come there just isn't some kind of a government ban on bristle brushes for the grill?
Well, yeah, like the government gets anything done.
Easy. I might get an email about you taking a shot at somebody. I mean, come on. I already had that happen early.
Here's the deal. Yeah. Congress sucks. I hope you get a lot of emails.
Oh, boy. Congress sucks. Breaking news. Good job.
Because actually, Congress brought this up in 2012, and they mandated that the U.S. government, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, look into it. And their solution was, well, what we'll do is we'll test to see if you can pull the bristles out of a brush. And my point was, it's not them falling out. It's them breaking off.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And I've talked with people at Consumer Product Safety Commission, like, oh, well, we didn't look for that. It's like, please, it's not like this is rocket science. People use these because they always have. And when you sit there and say, well, we all know about it, well, we who spend a lot of time talking about barbecue and grilling, we know about it. We've been hearing it over and over again. But every time I put a story out like this or do that, I get emails back from people or messages from people going, I didn't know anything about this, but I just looked in my grill and there's a dozen bristles in the bottom of it. I'm like, yeah, of course there are. Because I guess honestly, if you've got a grill and you've been using one of these things for a long time, there's bristles in the bottom of your grill. I guarantee it. And it's only chance that's kept it from ending up in your stomach.
Is there anything that's nice. Will there be anything that resolves this, or are we just are you gonna continue to write this story over and over again?
I hope not. I would love to just get it to stop. And what it would really take is for a major manufacturer to stand up and actually come out and say, we're going to stop selling these because they hurt people, and anyone who does sell them is irresponsible and bad people, and just kind of shame them into it. That's really what it takes. I mean, I'd love for, like a major retail chain to come back and say, well, we don't sell them anymore. But every time I bring it up, they're just kind of like, oh, well, people should just buy another one every, couple of months. And it's like, that costs $4. how much profit are you making? Because I can't imagine that this is floating Home Depot.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a pointless thing. There are very good alternatives out there, and we just need manufacturers to kind of stand up and say, we're not going to have them as part of our product line anymore. We're going to go to the alternatives and just have that. And I don't have to keep talking about this, and there doesn't have to constantly be, you know, the local news story about the person who just came out of the hospital. It's just lunacy at this point.
Derrick Riches can be found writing for DerrickRiches.com. The other thing I wanted to talk about tonight, Derrick, is liquid propane. And for the folks, okay, so for all of us Barbecue Central Show historians, we know about the bristle brush situation. Oh, we've probably also heard about the 20-pound liquid propane bottle, exchange or refill. Well, I think a lot of people find it's very easy to go to Home Depot or Walgreens now or my Giant Eagle grocery store or the Ace, where they have the cage of available propane bottles that are full. Mm-hmm. So you swap it in and out, you pay your $25 or whatever it is, and away you go. Well, little do you know, that's a 20-pound bottle with 15 pounds of propane in it, because that's an actual regulation. So is the law that an exchange was only regulated then to 15 pounds instead of the 20, or was that when that overfill protection thing went in that it dropped to 15? How did it work out?
Well, the overfill protection became an industry standard in 2000. And one, a 20-pound bottle, a 20-pound propane tank holds 17 and a half pounds. It's kind of like a 2x4 isn't 2x4 inches.
Yeah.
It's, 3 and a half and whatever. Yeah. So you can get about 17 and a half pounds in one, unless it's, but propane can, is at different volumes at different temperatures. So if it's really cold, you can get more in there than if it's really warm. But when the exchanges started coming in, they started filling them at 15, never told anyone that. They didn't say, oh, we're only filling these to 15. There wasn't a regulation for it either. It wasn't like they were following the law. They tried to insinuate that there was, and then they tried to push for there to be one, but you can still fill a 20-pound tank at 17 and a half pounds. But if you go to an exchange tank, there's 15 pounds. And now they have to actually say that. There was a class action lawsuit.
Yes.
And they lost. And if you bought from Blue Rhino or Feral Gas somewhere between 2011, 2014, you might be due compensation. Call your lawyer. It's probably like $1,
yeah,
maybe $2.
But I mean, the point of the matter is the gas company decided they were just going to stick it to you and not tell you, hoping that nobody would be any of the wiser.
Right. I mean, I guess they just figured that most of us would never go, wow, I'm just going through a lot more propane than I used to.
Right.
But people noticed, because it very quickly came up with, I went and I filled this tank at, a reputable refill location, and I weighed it versus the one I just got from the exchange, and it's 2.5 pounds, 3 pounds lighter than the other one. So people noticed it. But there is actually another side of it, and that is that AmeriGas was found that on their tanks they had a valve in place, and they're all actually really the same company. AmeriGas, Feral Gas, Blue Rhino, it's all the same consolidation of companies. Their valve won't empty the tank. I mean, you can't get all of the propane out of a tank, but their valve was designed to keep a pound or two inside of it still.
Wow,
So you got 15 pounds, and you could get maybe 13 and a half pounds out of it. So they were kind of stealing 4 pounds off of you.
No doubt.
And and plus, I recognize it's convenient. I mean, in a lot of places now you can get somebody to, you put your empty tank out on the front porch or on the curbside, and a truck will come by and pick it up and give you a full one, but you pay for it.
Yeah.
I kind of priced it right now, going right around where I am, is a refill is going to be about $16. You're 20 something at an exchange. If you want it delivered, you're up to about 28, depending upon where you are and what their routes are.
I can't even get delivery here.
Confusing.
I have to take it somewhere. I don't have any delivery like the milkman.
Well, and the service where I live down here in Austin, they want you to subscribe to a monthly service.
Of course. Everything's a monthly subscription anymore. Spotify, your liquid propane, Blue Apron.
Propane by Netflix.
Right. Oh, my God. I mean, it's all tying in together. Oh, great.
So it's a way of making a lot more money on a fuel that is kind of a waste product of the refining process. I mean, we get propane from oil. The gasoline and the diesel from the oil is what makes all the profit. The butane, the kerosene, the propane, that's kind of bonus money for refineries. But yeah, that company's out there just figuring out how to squeeze a couple extra bucks at everybody on every propane tank.
Profit is not a dirty word in business. Derrick Riches is joining us here on the show. All right, so let's transition here for the last minute or so. I was just talking with Ted Conrad from Fireboard. As you know, he gave me his list of barbecue Hall of Famers. We'll be revealing that, by the way, exclusively here on the show, 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. You are well up on barbecue issues. Did you have a chance to review the 9 semifinalists?
Yeah, I looked through the list.
Tonight, will you be revealing Derrick Riches' 3 barbecue Hall of Fame inductees?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Number 1, in no particular order, of course.
Let me just preface this by saying that this is a Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And who goes in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
The best ever.
The best players.
Yes.
So I think that the Barbecue Hall of Fame should be for the best barbecue cooks. The
Period?
People who are in the smoke. Yeah.
Okay.
We have there's other awards from other groups. If you want to have a serious Hall of Fame, then it should be about the people who are in smoke every day cooking barbecue. And that's my opinion on it. And people who really reflected the tradition of barbecue. So I would pick Desiree. I think that
we like Desiree, no doubt.
It's, we've got Memphis barbecue, we've got a long-standing tradition, but also it's a family-oriented business. It's part of the community. That to me is very traditional barbecue.
All right, number 2.
I think that Rodney Scott.
All right,
and what he's been doing with Carolina barbecue, which needs to shine more. I mean, Texas barbecue's fine, but we need variety.
Easy, pal. You're in Austin. Don't gloss over that.
Yeah, I know.
Wow,
I know. I realize that.
Yeah.
Someday I'll drive by Aaron Franklin's place. But
number 3.
After that, yes. I'm kind of torn. I'm gonna go. I would say maybe John Davidson.
You would say John Davidson, or are you going to say John Davidson?
I've got a tie.
No, bullshit. We don't do ties on the show. We're courageous.
Okay,
let's go.
All right, you wanted a runner-up, a 4th, right? So I'm going to go with 3 would be John Davidson.
All right,
just because
Oklahoma Joe,
the Oklahoma Joe, all of that sort of stuff. Yep. And after that, Darren Worth.
All right, Darren Worth is the bridesmaid. Like it. Darren Worth. I'm keeping track here, also in the chat. Wow. All right. Well, that's great stuff, and appreciate the stories, the insight. We will all say, and I will second, the bristle brush, don't buy that stuff. Get that weak stuff out of here, as Austin Carr would say. Plenty of other great options out there. I just ordered my dad the Grill Rescue Pad. You see that real beefcake dude, brushing. No bristles. It looks like it gets wet, too, and it steam cleans. It's supposed to be stops bullets, too, so if you're really good, flipping it up, if you're getting shot, you can save your life. So I'm pretty excited. I mean, it was
catch bullets with it.
It's $51 for 1 unit after shipping. So, Dad, I hope you enjoy that. I'm never buying you another Father's Day gift again for at least 5 years. But I guess we'll see. I'll report back on how it works.
Okay, right. I'd love to hear that.
All right, we'll see how it goes. In the meantime, you catch up with Derrick over at DerrickRiches.com and check him out here on the fourth Tuesday of every month. Derrick, always appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. See you in a month.
There he is, Derrick from DerrickRiches.com right there. Yes, sir. I thought he was going to flake on me. Man, I was going to get pissed. He was earning his way right up. The regulars have to bring it strong. We got to bring it strong. World famous Oklahoma Johns. No. Joe John Davidson. Joe John Davidson is his name. Right, we're wrapping up the first hour. I got to keep that. Second hour. If you want to jump in, give me your whatchamacallits. Give me your top 3 in the chat. Backyard Barbecue Show wanting to know, where did all the chicken sandwich hype go? No shit. Gonzo. Hey, Kinger, I got one better. Who has benefited the most from coronavirus sparking up when it did? Answer, Weber. That smoke fire was on fire in the form of bad press. Coronavirus hit. You have not heard shit about the Weber smoke fire. Period. Easily the company that has benefited the most from a PR standpoint as coronavirus is considered. That's going to be an end-of-the-year story for me, too, by the way. All right, we're back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Discussing barbecue topics at breakneck speed and with expert accuracy. All later from Dublin. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect via Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring or Bluetooth if you want. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant, you're in mega luck because Fireboard is fully integrated with both. You can find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. And don't forget, as Ted Conrad had introduced in the first segment of the show, there is now Fireboard 2 and Fireboard 2 Drive. So if you want something a little bit more updated, you want the latest tech, Fireboard 2 and Fireboard 2 Drive are the ones you want. Real sexy and robust outer shell. Weather resistant. Ted left his out on the deck for 2 or 3 days on purpose in the rain in Kansas City with no issues. Buttons integrated on the side now. Still 6 channels. Really cool, sexy display screen. Both graphing in big numbers. They also had a flashing LED light. Great stuff. Get over there. Fireboard.com. Thanks again to Derrick Riches from DerrickRiches.com. We're inviting you to throw away all of your bristly brushes. Stop that. No bristlies. Nobody weighing in on the instant chat with their Hall of Famers. So they either don't care or they're too scared to give me their thoughts. We'll figure it out as we run through the break here. Second hour is coming up. Plenty to get to on the other side. If you want to jump in, hit me up, 216-220-0966 or Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. We are back right after this. Stick around.